Hey, DJ, ready to film another great episode?
Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking today we can talk about... Oh my God, what was that? Did you see something in the corner? What the hell is that? Oh my God, something hunting us. Run!
We're a couple of guys who like to watch movies, cinema nerds who made it our duty to make a show where we break down, discuss, and review. We're the men who watch movies.
Hello, everyone.
And welcome to another great episode of The Men Who Watch Movies. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ the Movie Man Wagner.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we have another wonderful episode. We're going to have a great discussion about Predator and the new movie Prey, which I've seen. You haven't seen it yet, but don't worry, I won't spoil it for you.
That's all right.
Yeah, so we're going to tread lightly around that, but we're going to give you my opinion, and, we're going to talk about that. But first, like always,
This week in movie news.
jumping straight in. Right, my first bit of movie news. Apparently, they're doing a live-action Pac-Man movie. Now, who asked for that? I have no idea. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, I hope it's a good movie. I heard about the video game, Pac-Man, Pac-Man, the whole...
Pac-Man.
The whole...
Is he the Jamaican Pac-Man? Pac-Man.
Yeah, or it could be, it's been around for years. Pac-Man,
Of course,
the video game is,
Since the 80s. Waka, 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 waka. Anyway, not to get too off topic here.
Let's get too off topic.
Yeah, so I think they're just kind of trying to cash in on the whole Sonic franchise. It's amazing where the place they took Sonic, because remember when the trailer came out, it looked disastrous. And there's the infamous ugly Sonic. Do you remember that?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I remember people were complaining about how ugly Sonic looked. He had these weird human teeth. And of course, eventually they ended up changing it due to a fan outcry, which is, it's not very common, especially that late in the game where they did the effects already. And they went back, they changed it, they made him look great. The movie did great. They got a sequel. The sequel did great. I mean, it's amazing how that rose from the ashes like a phoenix.
Yep. Rose like a phoenix.
Did you see any of the Sonic movies?
Yeah.
What did you think of them?
That's good. I give them 2 thumbs up.
I didn't see the second one, but I saw the first one. I thought it was great. It's a good kids movie. It's not,
it's got Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, or personally Dr. Eggman.
Yeah, I think he did excellent. I mean, he was just Jim Carrey, but what more do you need than Jim Carrey?
He's a badass. Yeah, he's a legendary man.
Yeah.
I heard he's retiring, but who knows?
I know. I remember that was a thing that he said after.
Sonic 2?
No, what was his name? Oh yeah, I think I was talking. But I'm drawing a blank today. The guy from Die Hard.
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. After I don't know. I forget a big name like that. Anyway, after he came out with saying that he was retiring because he had aphasia, then Jim Carrey, I don't know if he thought that he needed to take back the spotlight or something, but then he announced that he may be retiring after Sonic 2. So I don't know. But I haven't heard anything further about that. Who knows? Jim Carrey, he's a wild card.
Yep. The Riddler and the Mask.
Yeah, two of the biggest wild cards in cinema history. Especially the way he played him. Anyway, moving on.
Yep.
My next bit of movie news is that Bullet Train, which you saw.
Oh, hell yeah.
How did you like it, by the way?
It's a long movie, but it's awesome.
Nice.
Of course, my dad got a cramp, but it's still a good movie. It was based off on a book, unfortunately, or maybe not, but it has blood, gore. It looks like a Tarantino film, but it looks like Battle Royale movie. Super bloody, super, it's got that Japanese, quality, it's very different, it's very, very different. You got Aaron Taylor Johnson as Lemon, or I have no idea.
Code name or something?
Yeah, it's a code name. There's Lemon and Tangerine. I have no idea.
Okay, interesting. So would you recommend it, or would you not recommend it?
I'd recommend it. 2 thumbs up.
Awesome. And so anyway, my movie news about Bullet Train. It apparently it's had a $30.1 million opening.
Woohoo!
Now, do I know if that's good or bad? I have no idea. I don't know the finances, but we'll let you decide on that. But yeah, I heard a lot of interesting things about it.
Highly recommend it.
Okay, yeah. If he says you should watch it, you better go watch it. And I'm going to check up on each and every one of you. So, just kidding. I don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah, we're just cool guys.
Yeah. And then apparently, this is a little bit older news, but I forgot to bring it up last week. Apparently, Jared Leto, he's been cast. They're making a new Haunted Mansion series for Disney. And apparently he's been cast as the Hatbox Ghost. Now, if you remember the Hatbox Ghost, I think his gig was that he has like his head is cut off or something, and he goes to lift his hat, and then his head comes off or something. I don't know. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about a new Haunted Mansion?
It should look interesting. You know, Eddie Murphy did a movie called Haunted Mansion.
I was going to say.
Terrence Stamp played the Butler Ghost, and Jared Leto, it should be really, really, really good. You know, I mean, I understand. You know, Jared Leto's role as the Joker wasn't my favorite, so thumbs down.
Yeah. He's been very
different,
very missed lately.
He looks angry all the time, but serious.
And I heard he's a big dick on set. Like he just, I mean, not in a good way either. He's like, he's very like method, which is another word for a big asshole. And he makes people like when he was playing Morbius, I think we talked about this. He was like wearing crutches because even though like for the most of the movie he's not wearing crutches, like he decided to be all method on set and he was hobbling around on crutches, making people help him, and he was. You know, he was just being a big dick. And then on the Joker, when he was playing the Joker, he would like mail people dead animals because he was the Joker. He's crazy. You know, it's just like, no, you're just an asshole.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll see what becomes of the Haunted Mansion.
We'll know what the future holds. But I mean,
I can't see the future. It may do great. It may do bad.
Yep.
But you take that on. What do you have?
You just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
that's all you do, you know. There's a difference between good movies and bad movies, but you make the decision, guys.
Exactly, and that's my point. I've seen a lot of people online. They're trying to do like hot takes and whatnot, and then we, you know, of course, the show is all based on opinion, and you know, we give you our opinion, and you know, it's up to you to decide your opinion. And a lot of people like they state their opinion as facts, you know, like. You know, I don't know, whatever, and then they try to make it like this is the fact, and you can't change that. But no, it's like that's just your opinion, you know.
Exactly.
And everyone's free to make their own opinion. You can like whatever you like, you can dislike whatever you like, as long as you're not mean and not being an asshole or a bully online.
Exactly.
You're free to you know like whatever you want, and as long as you're not
exactly, my friends.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. This ties in with our episode a little bit today. Actually, a lot of it. So the movie Prey, we're going to talk about that. Apparently, Jesse the Body Ventura has chimed in on Prey, and apparently he loves it. So he's actually said that he thought it was a thoughtful and creative movie.
Yep.
And that's a great endorsement. Of course, he was in the original.
Body Ventura.
Yeah.
Muscular. He was in the Navy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
But nowadays he's off the grid in Mexico. Well,
is that where he's at?
In a way, because he's not, you know. I mean, he doesn't have, you know, TV. He just like, you know, he lives alone. He just he's you know.
Is this facts or?
Well, actually, it's Well, actually, I heard he's a conspiracy theorist, but you know, taking him with a grain of salt, guys. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, he's a very interesting guy, but you know, when he's on Predator, he has a voice. You know, he has a voice and like, you know, I ain't got time to die.
He's a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. Well, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Anyway, and the last bit of movie news, we have some tragic news.
Clu Gulager.
He was in the Virginian Last Picture Show and Return of the Living Dead. He has passed away at the age of 93. We used to have Lou Barilla. He was a camera operator on one of my favorite movies, Jaws. He was also a camera operator on Steel Magnolias and Love Story. He has passed away at the age of 92. We got to give props to the people behind the scenes. We
got to give props to you guys. You know,
exactly.
You are fantastic.
They make the magic happen.
You
Without
make the
them,
magic happen. Without you, it wouldn't happen. So
exactly. Yes, definitely. I would clap, but I have a notebook in my hand, and excuse me. And then we just tragically heard just a few seconds ago, we're browsing online. We heard that Olivia Newton-John, the famous Olivia Newton-John, Grammy winner, and of course star of one of the greatest musical movies of all time, Grease, has just passed away at the age of 73.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty sad. I thought she was alive. She's always good.
Yeah,
she did smoke in the movie, so I don't understand about that. But R.I.P. Olivia Newton-John. We're gonna miss you.
Definitely. Well, this brings a close to this week in movie news. We will remember all those lost, and we will contemplate.
Of course, we will.
Your movies and continue to watch them.
Memorize everything.
Yes, exactly. Now, we're going to get on to our main event here.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to talk about Prey, and we're going to compare it to the original Predator.
Oh, yeah.
A great movie. What are your thoughts on the original Predator movie?
Oh, it is badass. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Definitely. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Yep.
What year did that movie come out? It was
1987.
87, wow. Yeah. Ooh, having some technical difficulties right now.
Houston, we have a problem.
Microphone cut out. Oh, there we go. I fixed it. Sorry, folks. That's just a little technical difficulty. Anyway, so Predator. I mean, what would you say is your favorite part about this movie?
Jesse the Body Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers.
There's a lot of buff dudes kicking ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
no longer buff anymore, but
yeah. And I don't look at them now. Just we'll look at them as they were.
They're cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just a wonderful movie. I mean, it's so surprising too. I mean, it starts off aside from that little intro, which feels tacked on. So the movie, of course, it's about this creature that comes to Earth and it hunts. And it's very like it's all about hunting and game and trying to be the best at what it does. And for the beginning part of the movie, it's more like a commando style movie where it's about this group of special operatives that go in. They think they're going in on a rescue mission, right?
Yep.
So it starts off, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets called in by the general, and then he ends up meeting an old friend there, played by Carl Weathers, of course.
The big muscles.
Yeah, so Dutch, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, he kind of gets, he's surprised by his old friend Dylan. And I love that scene, of course, that famous scene.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. And then they do that big muscly arm grab. And, so he's there talking about how there's some political figure, right? And he gets captured, and they're going to go and try and rescue him. There's like a downed helicopter, and it's they call him the cabinet minister. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe does he sell cabinets? I don't know. But so the cabinet minister and his aide, they were captured, and so that's the whole mission, supposedly. Is to go and rescue them, and Dutch is hesitant at first, but then Dylan says like, I tapped you because you're the best at what you do, and I need an A+ team to go in, and so Dutch is like, no, my team works alone, and eventually he convinces him, refusal to call, and then eventually he goes. They go on a helicopter, the most testosterone-fueled helicopter ride of any movie I'd ever seen. So that's when
they're listening to Little Richard on the radio.
Yeah, I love that song, Long Tall Sally, right? Yeah, baby. Ooh, baby. Have me some fun tonight. Yeah. And then later it comes back. Anyway, so you have the whole crew there. You have, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch, Carl Weathers as Dylan, Shane Black, who's famous director. He makes an appearance as Hawkins, Bill Duke as Mac. He was a great character. I love him.
The bald man is awesome.
Yeah, Sonny Landham as Billy. He's the tracker of the group. And then you have Richard Chavez as Pancho, and then Jesse the Body Ventura as Blaine. They're all on this helicopter ride. They're just kind of, they're just the most manly dude. They all have kind of attitudes and stuff like that. They're trying to kind of outman each other and whatnot. Freaking, what's his name?
Just see the body Ventura spits,
chewing tobacco.
Chewing tobacco on his chew, and it says, and then Carl Weathers says with his famous line, "Hey pal, that's a nasty habit."
He just kind of looks at him and he's still chewing. Doesn't he spit on his foot or something? That's gross.
Yeah, that's just fucking nasty. But it is what it is.
It's an interesting scene though. They're just kind of riding, and then of course Shane Black's character, he's just telling like dirty jokes the whole time. I don't know if I want to repeat it here.
No, we are not going to repeat it, but
I want to maintain a little shred of dignity, but he's telling dirty jokes that have to do with anatomy and whatnot. Anyway, so that's pretty much that's the whole helicopter ride. They're just being manly dudes riding in. The red glow of the helicopters. They're listening to Little Richard, and finally they get the signal, and they have to go quiet, and they shut down all the lights and the music, and
they're wearing their MTV shirts.
Yeah, does one of them have an MTV shirt?
Well, actually, Blaine does.
Does he? I didn't realize that. I know one of them's reading Sergeant Rock. I think that's Shane Black's character.
Yeah,
Hawkins.
Yep.
Which is interesting. There's a character named Hawkins, and then which is the name of the fictional town. I think it's fictional. The town in Stranger Things, and there's a little bit of another connection to Stranger Things in a little bit. I wonder if it was on purpose from the Duffer Brothers. They used some Predator references. We'll get to that in a second. So anyway, they land. They find a chopper crash. They see the pilots are dead. And then they see other like footprints, and Billy the tracker, he says like, hey, these are U.S. military boot footprints. Like they're so confused on what's going on. And then eventually they find the skinned bodies of a group of soldiers in the trees, and it's just so gross. What do you think about that scene?
Oh, it was just nasty. I mean, like, what was going to happen? It was like, this is nasty. So, for those of you that are fans of The Predator, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, but
not for little kids.
Definitely not. But yeah, they did such a great job with those effects. I mean, I believe this was all Stan Winston's team, right?
Oh yeah, that was definitely Stan Winston. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, the iconic Stan Winston. Of course, he's most famously designed the look of the Predator, and there's a whole story behind that. We'll get into
Batman
that.
Returns.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, those bodies hanging from the tree. There's 3 guys. They were all skinned, all bloody and gross. And they cut him down, and they realized that one of the guys, he has his dog tag still on, and his name is Jim Hopper. Does that sound familiar to you?
Oh yeah, Jim Hopper. Wasn't there a movie about Jim Hopper?
I'll tell you what Jim Hopper. Well, first of all, Jim Hopper in the context of Predator, apparently Dutch. He knew Jim Hopper as a soldier, and so he's sad that him and his team were murdered or killed, and so he's wondering what the hell they're doing there. But it's funny because the name Jim Hopper is the name of the police chief in Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
and then there's also a character named Hawkins. So I wonder if the Duffer Brothers, they seen Predator, and then they're like, hey, we like those names. Let's take that and put it into the Stranger Things franchise.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of the Predator kind of reminds me a little of the Demogorgon with like how he has like those weird mouth flaps and stuff like that, and it's kind of interesting. I wonder if there's got to be some kind of connection. There's a lot of 80s references and or just movie references in general in Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, in a way, there's a lot of references.
So it's very possible.
Things.
The fact that the guy who died is named Jim Hopper. I mean, I feel like that's a big one. Anyway, so they basically want to get their revenge because they find poor Jim Hopper and his crew skinned in the forest.
Him down.
So they go, and this is one of my favorite scenes. They go, and at first Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's like, we're not assassins. We're a search and rescue team. And then eventually that goes out the window when they find poor Hopper dead. And then they go into the camp where those gorillas are, and they just fuck them up pretty bad. They get their grenade launchers. They start mowing down. There's that one scene right before the action starts where there's like a truck. You remember that? And then it's running a generator.
Oh yeah.
What does he do? Remember that?
Oh, he just runs in. And he just lets the truck go down, and they just shoot the bad guy.
Yeah, he doesn't he attach a bomb to it, or does it just blow up?
Oh yeah, he attached
or something like that. And then he lifts the truck up, off the, because it's sitting on blocks, and then they're using the wheel as like a thing to run the belt to keep the generator going. And then so he lifts the truck off the blocks and sets it down, and it rolls into the building with a bunch of people. It blows up, and then that's when they're like, it's go time, boys. And then they go in, they start blasting. Anyway, I started blasting. And then they just let him have it. And there's a lot of great one-liners in the scene. Of course, from Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's famous for his one-liners. Of course, there's the one where he throws the knife at the guy, and he's like,
Stick around, guys.
yes.
Stick around.
And then, of course, there's that one scene where Jesse Ventura's character, he gets hit. And then he said, what does he say?
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yes. I love that. I love that line. I try and use that whenever I can. Sometimes I get cut by accident by something, and I'm like, I ain't got time to bleed. It's just so badass. I love that. I love that scene. Yeah, and so eventually, after everything's said and done, they realize that the story about the cabinet minister was bullshit. Now, what's the real story? Were they like they were trying to stop? Were they? Was it like a drug smuggling ring or something? And they were trying to stop him
in a way,
or something. I forget exactly what
like
the
that,
real
but
mission
it
was.
But
he
South
lied.
American or whatever it was called. It was some shit like that. I mean,
it was something like that. And it turns out that there was no cabinet minister. It was all Dylan just trying to stop this guerrilla group. I think they were drug smugglers, something to that effect. And he lied to Arnold Schwarzenegger just to get him there because he knew he wouldn't have done it otherwise. And so he's pissed. So Dutch is pissed at Dylan, and there's this whole thing. And there's this one line that Dylan says, he's like, "You're an expendable asset." And Dutch said, "My men are not expendable." And it just made me think of later on. It's funny because he's in the Expendables.
Oh my, yeah, he's the expendable.
So he is expendable. He later on he kind of he warmed up to the idea.
Yep.
And so they capture a hostage from the camp from the group of guerrillas. Her name is Anna, and they use her basically to try and figure out what the heck's going on. And meanwhile, while they're transporting her, one of their men dies. Oh, Hawkins. I think he's the first one of the group to die.
Yep.
And so he was in charge of Anna, and all of a sudden something came out of the woods and killed him. And they thought that she did it at first because he was alone with her, and she was just covered in blood. They realized it's not her blood; it was Hawkins' blood. And they go looking for him. All they see is a big pile of guts in the forest. It's gross.
Yeah, it's just
they're
pretty
like, what did you do to
gross.
him? And she kept saying, "No, the forest came alive and took him." And they're like, "Bullshit." That's some bullshit story. Like, what did you do? And then slowly they realize that something is following them. And then it's cool because at first, in all good, like scary, this is really almost like a horror movie.
In a way,
'cause you don't
yeah,
know
very,
there's something
very
hunting
horror,
this group of people.
Scary.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is the final girl. and anyway, that's a horror term for usually the last person left standing. And typically a horror movie, it's like a female character and whatnot. And they call them the final girls. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is the final girl in this. Anyway, not to get too off topic here.
Not to get too off topic.
Yeah. So they realize that something's hunting him. And like in any good horror movie, you barely get glimpses of the creature. So, and same thing like with Jaws. I mean, I don't know if you consider it a horror movie, but you get like glimpses of the shark, and I feel like that's way scarier than seeing it right off the bat. And until the big reveal at the end, you see the creature.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Same thing with this. It's like you catch glimpses of this transparent creature that's hunting them, and finally at the end you see the thing that's been stalking them for a long time and whatnot. It's great. I love it. And then finally, Blaine gets killed by the Predator, Jesse Ventura. The gruesome death scene where you see his head explode. They do wonderful. I was talking about in the RoboCop episode, all the wonderful 80s squib effects, and they do that. They do a lot of that here. You see Jesse Ventura's head explode, and then Mac played. Was it Bill Duke?
Bill Duke, yeah.
He sees the transparent figure, because all this time they're thinking, that her story about the force coming alive is all bullshit, whatever. And then he sees that transparent figure, and then the eyes glow, and he freaks the fuck out. And then that's when he goes and he starts firing at him with his rifle,
Gatling gun.
At first he uses his, I think it's like an M4, M16 or whatever. He empties that, and then he grabs Jesse Ventura's Gatling gun and he just goes fucking ham on the forest, and everyone starts joining in. They get all their guns together. What do you think about that scene?
Oh, I thought that was badass.
They just open fire. That was fucking amazing.
Yep.
And then they're just unloading all their weapons until everything is just empty. And then the last thing you hear is that Gatling gun just spinning. After it's done firing, it's just spinning, and then it stops, and then the forest is just like mowed down. And they're like, "What the fuck did you see?" You know, and he was saying how he saw these glowing eyes and whatnot. And they're looking at the wound from Jesse Ventura's character, and like what the hell did this? It's like a big hole in his chest, and it's like cauterized, like it was burned. Like what is this? What are we dealing with? And they ask Anna what she saw, and she said like it's like some kind of creature, like it changes colors. She described it like a chameleon, and they're like, "What the fuck are you telling me? We're being chased by like a big lizard? What the fuck is this?" And then she said, which is an interesting story, because I remember a lot of people were complaining about that new movie Prey and how like they're kind of changing the canon, because they're saying that the first time a predator attacked modern day humans was in the first Predator movie, and that they're changing the story because Prey takes place in the 1700s. And no, because Anna, she's telling the story about how she's heard tale when she was a little girl about a creature that would come during the hot months, like the summer months, I guess, and it would hunt people. And they gave it the name El Diablo Cazadores de Hombres. And the way I don't know if this is the correct translation, but this is what they say in the movie. This isn't me trying to translate it. The demon who makes trophies of men. And so there's been predators hunting on Earth, and she's heard tale of it herself.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is, but
yeah,
I still think it's an awesome movie, so thumbs up to that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, and so basically the rest of the whole movie is just them trying to hunt this thing, and of course it doesn't end well. At this point, Pancho's wounded. Mac goes chasing the predator. And then that's when remember he starts singing the word, or actually he's more like speaking the words of Long Tall Sally. Yeah, he's like, remember he goes off in the forest, and at first I didn't realize that he was saying the words of Long Tall Sally, but he's like that's the part where he's like, I'm gonna have me some fun. Those are the lines of Long Tall Sally, and then he goes off, and then he gets killed, and then Dylan, Carl Weathers, he gets his arm blown off. You remember that scene when he gets his arm blown off? It was so gross. He gets his arm shot off, and then his hand is like still twitching, and it's like it's still shooting the gun.
Oh, I thought that was just disgusting, but
yeah, they did a great job. It looks so realistic.
The squibs are awesome.
Oh yeah. I love those 80s, with the prosthetic effects.
Awesome.
You can't beat rubber and fake blood and all that stuff that makes it visceral and real.
Yep.
Yeah, and then and that's when they realize that the Predator's game here. They realize that he's killing not just to kill, but he's killing for sport, because they realize Anna is the only one that's unarmed, and it didn't go after her. It's going after the guys because they have guns and they're a threat. But he doesn't see Anna as a threat, so he's avoiding killing her because there's no game in that. So they kind of know that he has rules now. And then they also realize that the Predator had been nicked in that scene where they open fire on the forest, and then Anna points out that there's it bled green all over the plants and whatnot.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Exactly, and that line comes up in the new movie. We'll talk about that later. A little callback to this movie.
Yep.
So anyway, like I said, the rest of them get dead.
Yeah.
And the one thing I like about the Predator, he not only is like he's a badass hunter, he like taunts them too. He actually can, like, I don't know if it's a suit or whatever,
but he can record.
He records the audio. I think that's neat. What do you think about that?
He can record audio and so that's awesome. But I thought that
I don't know what came first. Ernest Scared Stupid or this movie, but it reminded me of Ernest Scared Stupid when how when the troll is going after Kenny and it's using the voice of his friends. It reminded me of that because there's one point where he's using the voice of Mac to taunt Dylan, and it just reminded me of that. I have that in my notes. It reminds me of the troll from Ernest, of Trantor, a little bit, just a little bit. And then Dylan, he's finally finished off by the double blade of the Predator. So the Predator has kind of like a limited weapon base in this one. In the future movies, he has like a bigger array of weapons, but he has the double blade, he has like the laser shoulder cannon, and then he has his nuke, his wrist nuke. I think that's pretty much the extent of his weaponry in this one. But yeah. And then one of the most famous lines, and another great Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner, he's going to go after the Predator. And then he tells Anna, what does he tell Anna? Because he's like, I'm going to go after this thing. You need to do this thing. And it's one of the most famous lines out of this whole movie.
Go, get to the chopper!
Yeah. Ding, ding, you got it. I love that line. That's famous, a famous line of Arnold Schwarzenegger. When anyone thinks of an Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner, it's always get to the chopper. And it's not just get to the chopper. It's get to the chopper. You gotta say it with flair.
Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper! Anyway, so that's pretty much, that begins the one-on-one standoff between Arnie and the Predator, who's, by the way, I forgot to mention, he's played by the great Kevin Peter Hall.
Yeah, he recently passed away.
I believe it was a few years ago, but yeah, he another great role that I love him in. He played Harry from Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah, that's the movie.
I love that movie. John Lithgow.
Yeah. And the lady from Christmas Story, Melinda Davis.
Melinda Dillon or something.
Yeah,
like
Melinda Dillon. Yeah.
I forgot she was in that.
And it depends. It's the great movies are like, art imitates life and life imitates art.
Yeah, definitely. And not to get ahead of myself, but he does make a cameo in this movie. We'll talk about that in a little bit, outside of the Predator suit. But yeah, and then so the rest of the movie is just Arnie hunting the Predator, and then there's a point where he's like running away, and he falls down like this. He falls in the water, right? And he goes down like this waterfall and whatnot, and he gets covered in mud. And what were you gonna say?
Well, actually, there was when I saw this on AMC on the TV, of course, they were I don't know if it's true or not, but something about Arnold Schwarzenegger actually drank the water from Mexico, and
I bet
he had he ate the lettuce, and it was like he had like bad diarrhea, and
no.
I don't know what happened, but AMC had their trivia news, and so I guess they said it. So, and of course, when the Predator covered himself in mud, the Predator can't see him because mud is like a natural.
That leads to the big discovery.
Camouflage.
That's like the real game changer when he accidentally falls in the water and gets in the mud, and then he gets up later and he's covered in mud. The Predator is right there, and then he passes him by because then he realizes the mud is disguising him from the Predator's heat vision, and that's a big key in winning against the Predator. But there's a little fun fact before we get to the rest of the movie. Apparently, there's a scene where he's like when he's sliding down the water and he goes over the waterfall. He has to pretend like he's scared. And I was watching an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was actually really scared because at the time he was getting up the courage to ask Maria Shriver to marry him. And who wouldn't be scared when they're about to marry Maria Shriver, right? Anyway.
Yeah, was that it?
Yeah, so he's saying that was my real emotions because I was working up the courage to ask Maria Shriver to marry me, and so I was really scared at the time, and I was using that fear to I forget exactly the words that he said, but that's just a little fun fact for you, not to get.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love little stuff like that. And anyway, so like we said, he figures out that he can hide from the Predator now. So he's now he starts to build his little man-made traps. He gets the logs, almost like the Ewoks from Star Wars. He gets the logs to crush him, and he builds like trip wires out of rope and whatever he can find.
And when
the
trees. Helmet's off, Arnold Schwarzenegger says that famous line.
Yeah.
Why, you ugly motherfucker!
And that big reveal is just so epic. Because the whole time, even when you see him turn off his, cloaking suit, whatever, cloaking device, you see the mask and whatever. It's kind of creepy. But then when he takes off that helmet,
and he looks like a lobster.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Or just angry lobster.
Looks like an angry
crab,
seafood of some kind.
Yeah.
Such an epic design by Stan Winston. I remember there was an infamous early design of the Predator. He looked more like a praying mantis, and I think Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was it.
I think what was it, Jean-Claude Van Damme, right?
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
They had brought him on to play the Predator for some reason, even though he was in this ugly. And to do the cloaking effect, they had him in this red. They had the suit, but it was all red, and then they used that for whatever optical effect they did to make it look transparent. And so he was running around in this red, like weird, like B movie, like praying mantis looking suit, and it was just looking awful. And they had Stan Winston redesign it, and he did it up. And I remember he was like their story was he was on an airplane or something like that, and someone suggested to him, hey, that would look kind of cool if it had like mandibles. And then the rest is history. And he added the mandibles onto the design, and it just became epic. I love that the reveal where he opens up his thing. And for the people watching the video, I did a simulation with my fingers. Anyway, moving on. But what a reveal, though. And,
awesome. There's so much stuff.
And it's just amazing how much taller
stuff
he is than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a big guy, but Kevin Peter Hall is tall as shit. And then he was able to like grab him by his neck, and I mean, I'm assuming they did some movie magic there. He didn't really lift him up, but he's like holding him by his neck, and Arnie's feet dangling. How tall he is, and then of course he tries tricking. He tricks the Predator into his trap because he's sitting there and he's like, "Come on, kill me! I'm here, kill me!" And then the Predator, he's like, "No." He goes around the other side, but luckily he compensated for that, and he had like a tripwire that he let go, boom, and then he was able to crash the log down on top of the Predator, and he was spitting up green blood. He has that infamous glowing green blood, which they actually used a combination of like optical effects, and then they use like glow stick juice, right?
Yeah, and that famous laugh that he does, where he tries to explode his suit, and of course it's.
Oh yeah, so wasn't that Billy's laugh recorded?
Yeah, that was it.
That was so. I just realized that I didn't. Yeah, because that was when Billy heard the joke from I think Hawkins or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that was it.
And he told him the dirty joke, and then he starts laughing, and then he recorded that and he used it when he was about to detonate the bomb. What a asshole move! He loses, so he decides, fuck it, I'm gonna nuke everything.
Yeah, the Predator is a predator, but he did that out of, I don't know. Why? But, I don't know why, but, still I give it a thumbs up. So
excellent movie. There's nothing like it. And of course, there's the lovely scene afterwards where Arnold Schwarzenegger's standing there, and then you can see Anna got to the chopper. She got to the chopper because she comes back on the helicopter ride, and Kevin Peter Hall, he does a in-person cameo as the helicopter pilot, one of the helicopter pilots. It's the guy who played the Predator.
That was him.
Yeah, he was a helicopter pilot. And so he's flying in with Anna, and they're coming to get Arnie. He's covered in mud, all looking stoic and shit. And there's like a lone trumpet playing. I don't know if this is true. A little fun fact on my end. I had a band teacher when I was in band in middle school and elementary school, and I don't know if I probably got the story wrong, but I know he knew or it was him that played the trumpet solo on the Predator.
I think it was him.
So I think from what I remember, he said that it might have been him. I think if I'm remembering correctly, it was him that played that trumpet solo, and so it's a little interesting. And I just found out that he had passed away, Mr. Evans. So R.I.P.
R.I.P. to you, good sir.
Yes, he was hilarious. I remember when the students were acting up, waiting to get inside the classroom, he would always say, ladies and gentlemen, and I use that term loosely. I thought that was funny. Anyway, not to get too off topic. Moving on. Like you said, excellent movie. And you know what? I thought Prey was just as good. I thought they did an excellent job, and it's tough because there's so many of these Predator sequels, and none of them I think live up to the original because the first one was so unique.
Will live up to it.
The first one was so unique, and once you get that Predator reveal, the mystique is taken away.
Yeah, and the second one, it's all right.
I haven't seen. I was going to watch it.
It's all right.
I wanted to talk about it during this review. I ran out of time. I didn't want to waste any time trying to watch it before we recorded.
It's all right,
jump right into it. But I almost feel like I know you've seen it, but I haven't seen it. I almost feel like doing a video where it's like my first reaction to Predator 2, because I've heard infamous things about it. I've seen clips.
It's pretty good,
but I want to watch the whole thing in its entirety.
Danny Glover does a very, very good job.
I remember. I think he went with us when we saw AVP in theaters.
Oh yeah, I did. I remember that. That was awesome.
It was. I wouldn't say awesome. It was okay. it was okay. I haven't seen Requiem, and then I haven't seen any of the other Predator movies. But I made it a point to see Prey. I heard good things about it. I was not disappointed. So it's definitely an interesting take because it goes back in the past. So we're now in the 1700s, and that's interesting because you're taking like more primitive weaponry and pitting it against the Predator, which is interesting because this Predator is slightly different. Like he almost has a little bit more primitive weaponry himself. So it takes place in the northern Great Plains, 1719, and you have so the main characters. Naru and Tabe, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Naru is the main character. She's played by Amber Midthunder, and wonderful character. So she's basically the whole movie's about her trying to prove herself because she's been training as a hunter. She's part of this Native American tribe. Sorry, I'm clanging my notebook against our wires here. It's making a little bit of noise. So she's trying to prove herself as a hunter for part of her tribe. And there's like this kind of ritual that they go through. And it's called, I believe I'm pronouncing this right, Kutamiya. So it's basically to hunt something that's hunting you. And for a hunter, that's like a big sense of pride. You're trying to accomplish this, something, you're hunting something that's strong enough to hunt you and then succeed. And the main thing they say, it's not just about hunting and killing it, but just even surviving. You're going to do this, right? And then that brings you up into like a status, and so that's her big goal throughout the movie. And of course, the people in the tribe are trying to discourage her. A lot of people are, big naysayers. They're trying to laugh her off. You're never going to do this. And even the mom is saying that, you're so, you don't need to prove yourself here. You're so knowledgeable about medicine and whatnot. Why do you need to be, this great hunter and whatnot? But that comes in handy later, the fact that she's knowledgeable about medicine, because her mom is a healer and she picked up a lot of the knowledge from her. And then, her brother, Tabe, is a great warrior. And so she's learned a lot from him. Just being around him, she's been training for years and stuff like that to try and go on the hunt. And she's always trying to involve herself, but they want to push her away. And so it's the whole story is about her trying to prove herself, and which is, I feel like, is a big parallel to real life, because a lot of people are saying like, there's a term in cinema where they call women in movies a Mary Sue, because they feel like they, somehow they're accomplishing too much without even being trained or whatnot. And I feel like it's kind of parallels real life, because the people saying that, well, how could she be the main character? How could she beat the Predator? And it's almost like,
it is what it is. Art imitates life, and life imitates art.
And that's more apparent than ever in this scenario, right? So I don't want to get it too much. I was going to do an extensive review. I have a bunch of notes here, but
actually, next time when we do a podcast, we're going to discuss about Safe House with Patrick Stewart.
Not to get too off topic.
I
do want to talk about that.
That's a funny movie.
Right now, I still want to talk about Prey a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to get into it too much because you haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Well, I've seen half of it,
and I don't want to spoil it for people out there. I want them to see this, And so, and so basically, the whole thing is that she's trying to prove herself, and then of course you throw the Predator into the mix, and that just kind of makes things go crazy. There's this cool scene in there where you see the Predator. Because early on you see the ship, it's kind of cloaked and it drops off the Predator and whatnot. And then there's this neat scene of that kind of describes the whole food chain scenario going on, because you see there's like a little ant crawling on the Predator. He's cloaked at the time, and there's an ant that crawls on his foot, and then a little mouse comes over and eats the ant off the Predator's foot, and then a snake comes over and eats the mouse, and then the Predator, he guts the snake, and that's. It's kind of like see the next big creature up on the food chain kind of thing, and I thought that was a little neat. And then the gutted snake leads to them figuring out that something's wrong, because Naru finds the gutted snake and like, what the heck would gut a snake like this? Like, what is going on? And so that's the first clue that something's wrong. And she's also very skilled at tracking. And eventually when they're going on a hunt, because apparently there's like this mountain lion that they're trying to hunt. And they're going on the hunt. And at first they didn't want Naru to go with them. And so, but she wants to prove herself. So she wanted to go on the hunt with them. And then
That's very courageous.
the hunt doesn't go so well, but that's when they figure out that something's going wrong. There's something else out there in the woods tracking them. And at first they think it's no big deal. She's trying to warn her brother and whatnot that there's something out there. And, of course, they're not, how would they know that there's an alien creature hunting them? So they're like, no, it's probably a bear. We'll deal with that. I'll kill the bear too. Because there's a scene where they go and hunt the mountain lion, and then one of she has this plan to put some bait up in the tree, and they'll wait for it, and then they'll kill it. And it almost works, but then there's this one guy that's waiting up in the tree that's part of her tribe, and then he's like, just give up. We'll take care of this. You don't got this, And then while he's talking shit to her, he gets snagged by the mountain lion and he gets eaten. And then so she's trying to kill it because it's coming after her next. And all of a sudden she gets distracted by this bright light in the distance. It's the predator's laser sights. And then she sees and she hears like a growling, and she gets distracted, falls out of the tree, hits her head. And then they take her back to their camp or whatever. And then so that she's trying to warn him, hey, I saw something out there. There's something out there. We need to go deal with this. And eventually it's a lot of that, like, trying to get them to believe her and trying to get them to believe in her. And it's, I love that kind of trying to overcome aspect. You definitely got to watch it, man. I want to talk more about this, but I don't want to spoil too much for you.
Well,
and
actually,
for people
I've
out there
already
as
seen half
well.
of it. I already saw half of it. So, yeah, I mean, like,
Maybe an eighth of it.
Yeah, so those of you who have not watched Prey, I would highly recommend it. So keep on watching.
You can't recommend if you haven't seen it yet, but I will recommend it, and I recommend you to watch it because it's a really good movie. Yeah. So I won't go too much into detail any further with it for now, but definitely I loved it a lot. And I think it brought a fresh new aspect to it. I love the design of the Predator in this. It's slightly different. Some people were complaining.
A fresh new perspective.
Some people were complaining about the look of the Predator, like why is he so different? But it's like like humans are all different.
It's probably the same thing.
And we've seen in the other Predator movies, we've seen a lot of different looking predators, and he's not all that different looking. And I like that. I like the use of the skull, because instead of the traditional like metal mask that the Predator usually has, he has like some kind of animal skull he's using as a mask, and he embedded the little laser sight into it. He has some interesting weapons in this one. I can bring up for you. Typically with a laser sight, he has like that plasma cannon, right? And this one, he has like these almost like these Yondu type, flying like arrows and stuff, like motion tracking arrows. It's kind of cool because it kind of parallels the weapons they're using, because they have like arrows and the more primitive weapons. And so in the Predator, he has like his version of that, where it's like laser guided arrows and stuff like that. And then he has like he has like the killing net. I think he had in Predator 2. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where it's like a net, and then it slices them into little cubes.
Yep.
They bring that back. I think he has like his little throwing blades, and then he has an interesting type of bomb. In the first Predator, we talked about how he had that wrist nuke.
Yeah, the wrist nuke, and
this one he has like a wrist type of bomb, but it shoots out like these three little. He has like three little hockey puck things that fly up, and then it shoots like this pulse bomb thing. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
All kinds of different weapons, and he has like this cool like razor shield. I don't know if he might have had that in some of the other movies, but it's like this little razor shield, and it's kind of interesting. And there's one point in the movie where the main character, she encounters these Frenchmen, and she actually accidentally gets caught in their bear trap. And she realizes that, what do you call it? They have captured her brother and whatnot, and they have to escape them and stuff like that. So these Frenchmen are having to fight the Predator too. And she actually learns about like guns and weapons and stuff from one of the French guys that she ends up helping, but only just to get knowledge out of him. And then she uses them as bait, because eventually she figures out how to hide from the Predators. I'm not going to spoil it from you, but like I mentioned earlier, she's an expert. She's knowledgeable in medicine, and she actually was able to find this kind of medicine that was able to mask her from the Predators' heat vision. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
See,
I hope they use mud in this TV series.
There's some mud in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't play like it did in the first movie. But I think they did it more interesting because I think that's the one thing. A lot of the people in her tribe were like these, like tough guy, like hunter types, and they want to be like, oh, we could take him, no problem. But the thing about her is not so much that she's not only is she tough, she's observant. And I think that's what makes all the difference, because she has knowledge in hunting, she has knowledge in medicine, and she's a good tracker. And being a good tracker, I think that leads into her being very observant, and she's able to see the predator's weak points. And she doesn't just jump in head first and start wanting to attack. I mean, she'll do that at some points, but sometimes she'll just take the L, back away, observe, and be like, okay, I can see how I can beat him now. Like, this is a weak point. And it's very brilliant. I love the way they executed it. Go watch it. Maybe we'll talk about it some more in our next episode.
Yeah, in our next episode, we will talk about Safe House with Patrick Stewart, which is funny.
I do agree.
All right, Andy, I thought we said no more drills.
So Safe House is a movie. I know you've been wanting to watch for a while.
It's awesome. I already saw it, so it's just awesome.
I guess let's get off topic for a little bit.
It's pretty awesome.
It's a Patrick Stewart movie. It looks wild and crazy.
Yeah,
you know what? I think we'll talk about it next episode.
He plays Mace. He plays a retired CIA agent or DIA agent, and he dresses up in these ridiculous costumes like the Village People. But he is so funny. Oh my God, he's so funny.
I'll take your word for it.
He's so funny.
So I recommend Prey. You recommend, what is it?
Safe House.
Safe House, and that's not the one with. What's her name from? Oh my God, isn't there another Safe House movie that has
with Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds?
No, what's her name? That played Clarice.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. Isn't there a Jodie Foster Safe House movie?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, next. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you next pick for podcast. We'll talk about that movie.
Yep.
But yeah. So you recommend that movie? I recommend Prey a whole lot. Check it out. I wish I could talk about it more. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Excellent movie. I love the ending. It's very badass. And I'd say it definitely it's been one of the best sequels.
Exactly,
to a
one of the
movie.
best ones ever.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say that because I just want to sound cool or whatever, controversial. I legitimately think that. And of course, the first one is first and foremost the best. You can't recapture that lightning in a bottle. Because once you reveal that predator, you kind of lose the mystique in the sequels. But I think it does the best at trying to recapture the magic. And I highly suggest you watch it.
It's very, very good. Prey, and I highly recommend that you watch it.
Yeah.
Also, Safe House. It's funny. It's hilarious. You got Patrick Stewart. You got Kimberly Williams. You got Hector Elizondo. You got a whole cast.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? I think this wraps it up for this episode. We're going to cut it a little short today. Yep. Like I said, I don't want to keep drolling on about it. I don't want to get into spoiler territory. It just came out. I want y'all to watch it. I think you should go watch it. Maybe we'll talk about it some further. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. So we're going to end it here. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ the Movie Man Wagner.
And you've just been Movie Man. We're going to see you next time. And remember to
keep on watching. Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good day and hydrate.